Welcome to this Tutor to You AQA A Level Sociology Paper 3 walkthrough. In this video we're going to look at the 4 and 6 mark questions which are on crime on Paper 3. Now the 4 and 6 mark questions, as we've mentioned in this series already, appear on both Paper 1 and Paper 3, and they're focused on either education in Paper 1 or crime in Paper 3. They are short answer questions, and they are marked as 2 marks for each explanation, way or criticism. So for example, on a question that says outline and explain 2 ways, you are getting 2 marks for the first explanation and 2 marks for a second explanation. You need to write about 2 to 3 sentences maximum when answering these type of questions. Your first sentence will usually be identifying a cause, and your second and subsequent sentences will be about explaining the effect that has. If we look at a sample question here, and this question here says outline 2 ways globalization has impacted on the level of crime in the UK. So we need to find our cause and our effect. So we've highlighted our cause in green here, so we need to outline 2 ways globalization has impacted on the level of crime in the UK, which is our effect, which is highlighted in yellow. Now this is important because many students might read this question and think about global types of crime. For example, cybercrime or state crimes. But the question is not asking you about types of crime. It's asking you about ways in which globalization has impacted on the level of crime in the UK. So if we look at some of the reasons why globalization might have impacted on the level of crime, we can look at the organisation of criminal activity, hinting at organised crimes. The spread of transnational corporations, which hints at growth of corporate crimes. The outsourcing of work, which may hint at relative deprivation. Increased migration. Now we could link this into a rise in hate crimes or a rise in trafficking offences. Increased media, the growth of the media and how that has impacted on the level of crime in the UK. And the growth of technology, and this might lead us towards things like cybercrime or money laundering. Let's have a look at one way in which we can answer this question. So we've started our answer by saying one way globalization has impacted on the level of crime in the UK is through technological advances. So that's our way. That gets us 1 of the 2 marks that are available for each way. We then add to this by talking about how it has impacted on the level of crime. The growth of technology, in particular the internet, has led to an increase in the number of cybercrimes, such as identity theft and phishing scams in the UK. So we've identified our cause, technological advances, and we've linked it in to an increase in the level of cybercrime. That gets us 2 of the 4 marks that are available for this question. Now we're going to get the other 2 marks. A second way globalization has impacted on the level of crime in the UK is through increased movement of people. That's a feature of globalization, increased movement of people, migration. That will get us another mark. As more people move from one nation to another, it has led to an increase in the amount of trafficking into the UK from organised gangs. This includes arms and drug trafficking and modern slavery. So there's our effect. Our cause was movement of people, and our effect is arms, drug trafficking and modern slavery increasing. That would get us 4 marks out of 4. There are other responses we could have given, as we highlighted on the first screen. What you need to do is make sure that the cause, the way in which globalization has led to a change, is linked in to an increase or decrease in the level of crime in the UK. Now we're going to look at question 2, which is a 6-mark question. And sometimes these questions can be a little bit more tricky. Here, the question is asking us to outline 3 ways that the media can create increased levels of criminality. So it's giving us the increase, but it's asking us for ways in which the media creates this increase. So our cause and effect can be highlighted this way. We have to talk about the media. We have to mention a way in which the media creates this cause. And we also have to talk about how the level of criminality has increased. So let's think of some of the ways in which the media and crime are linked. Creating moral panics. The reporting of crimes. Promoting goods. Arousal. The transmission of criminal ideas, and promoting division in society. So a number of different ways in which the media can then impact on increased levels of criminality. Our first example here, we're going to use moral panics. One way the media can increase levels of criminality is through generating moral panics. Now we need to explain how a moral panic leads to an increased level of criminality. When a moral panic occurs, often there is a call for a crackdown by the authorities on a specific action or group, and when the police target specific groups, it leads to their activities becoming criminalised and increasing crime. So not only have we highlighted a way in which the media does this, we've also talked through the process of how it leads to increased crime. Our second example, a second way the media can create increased levels of crime is through promoting consumer goods through advertising. However, there are obvious links there with criminogenic capitalism. So we developed this idea of advertising, obviously by the media. This leads individuals who cannot afford these goods to feel relative deprivation, and they may then turn to criminal activities to be able to obtain these goods. So again, we've talked about the role of the media and how it has led to an increase in crime. Our final way is that the media can create increased levels of crime through transmitting criminal techniques. Media sources, particularly online, are able to show individuals how they can commit crimes, and this in turn leads to an increase in criminal activities. Probably less well explained, but it is talking about how transmission of these ideas leads to an increase in criminal activities. So you would be looking at 6 out of 6 for that response there. Now a bit of exam gold here. A short answer question should take no longer than a mark a minute to complete. As such, it may be worth leaving these questions until later in the exam. If you think about the time that you have, 2 hours to do an exam, and it comes to the last 10 minutes, you much rather be having to do a 4 or a 6 mark question than starting a 30 mark essay. That concludes this Tutor to You AQA A Level Sociology Paper 3 walkthrough, looking at the 4 and 6 mark questions on the crime paper, Paper 3. Thanks for watching.